right, guys, welcome to this, not a podcast, but we are doing this YouTube video talking about one of the biggest games of the year in the G5, as far as I'm concerned, one of the games of the weekend. We are talking, of course, about SMU at U of H. Essentially, winner's going to be looking for Cincinnati down the line, the AAC title game. I am joined, of course, by my fellow UH guy, Adam. Adam, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. I'm doing good. I'm excited for this game. I'll be making the trip down to Houston for the game, so I got a good feeling about it. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
You know, the energy just is so much different now these days. It just feels so much different. I feel like after, the Tech loss at NRG to open up the year, I remember so many UH, fans, students, alum leaving the stadium. They were like so PO. They essentially were like Dana out, bench Clayton, do everything. Now it's like the mood's like completely changed then. Everybody's behind Doug Belk. People got faith in Clayton again. And some people thought that Dana was on the hot seat, and you could argue that he's done among the best jobs in college football this year in terms of coaching. So before we go into the actual game, let's talk a little bit on that as far as like how the mood's changed. I was at that Tech game at NRG, and I only saw Clayton. I remember Clayton threw 4 picks in that game, and I left after the third one because I was like, we freaking blew it. I was pissed off. I couldn't even bear to watch the game anymore. I'm outside the stadium, and next thing I know, he threw another pick, and I think it was a pick 6, and I was like, that son of a bitch. I mean, it's literally how I was feeling at that point. But you know what? Some of the games started going in. We played Rice the next week. We absolutely obliterated them 44-7. That was essentially Alton McCaskill's breakout game. That was really fun to see. Clayton was doing a really good job. Went to the Grambling State game. I don't remember if that was the week after, the 2 weeks after. They looked really solid in that game too. And since then, they've been picking up results. They've been picking up results against Tulane, Tulsa. They just took care of business against ECU despite a very shaky fourth quarter after that 5-hour delay. Doug Belk, as far as I'm concerned, he is a lock to be a head coach. He's definitely going to get head coaching looks after this season. I am way behind this third ward defense. This is the third ward defense is back. That's honestly it. This is Sac Avenue. I am super pumped for this game. I'm super pumped for the season, for the rest of the season. I really think that we got something special here. And I feel like we're being disrespected in terms of the AP. I don't know how we're not ranked. I know the Tech loss was a bad look, and maybe the competition really wasn't as good. Maybe we haven't had that breakout win yet that we could potentially see on Saturday. But I feel like, all the metrics say that Houston's a top 5 defense in terms of like total offense allowed per game, among the best passing defenses, 13th in the country in passing defense. Marcus Jones is probably the most versatile player in college football, and he does absolutely everything. I've seen him play in the offense. I see him play defense, lockdown. I think he's the only player in the country that's got a catch for a touchdown, a pick 6 even, and getting that 100-yard kickoff return against East Carolina this past weekend. There's just way too much to love about this team. I'm feeling really good. I haven't felt this good in probably since the Tom Herman years. This is, I feel like everybody here in the third ward's got something to look forward to.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I remember the Texas Tech game, and coming into the season, I wasn't too high on them. Like, I expected us to compete for the American, but I didn't expect us to win it, if I was being honest. And I remember watching the first half of the Tech game, and we were playing so well, and my hopes were just getting higher and higher. I was starting to believe, and then we collapsed. And I remember because we talked about it, I was kind of like you. I was like, maybe Clayton's not it. Maybe Dana isn't the right answer, but they both proved me wrong. And I'm happy for it. I like what we're seeing. The third ward defense is back. I think we're 4th in sacks right now. We got one of the most electric players in the country in Marcus Jones, returning kicks and stuff. So I'm excited. I think if we win this game against SMU, it's pretty much smooth sailing to the American. championship against either Cincinnati or SMU because they still have to play each other later on. But I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm gonna be there at the game. It's a blackout too, so hopefully we get to storm the field. We'll see what happens though.
Oh, I'm not gonna say the names yet. Okay, I'm not gonna say it until we actually do win this game. But I did have a UH player DM me the other day, and he said like, "Hey, Cougs fans, students, are y'all gonna prove essentially these clowns wrong in terms of like now ranking us and everything?" And I said we're gonna storm the field. I said just like that. He DMs me right after I tweet that, and he's like, "I'm gonna look for the tweet right now." He said something along of like, "Fucking okay, here we go. Fucking right, y'all storming the field. We're gonna shock the world." You know what?
That's it. That's the energy I like right there.
That's what I love to hear. And honestly, I feel like that just seems to be the mood right now. So many. I feel like we have zero reason to not storm the field if we win this game. Zero chance. I mean, I don't even know if the AAC even fines schools for storming the field. I don't even know that. And if they do, I'll put up a GoFundMe page because I'm sure everybody that's going to be in that stadium, what are they gonna fine them, like 25K or something like that? You mean to tell me that all the people that are in that stadium, they're not going to want to donate just $1 to help pay for the fine that the AAC may hand out? Fucking hell, why not?
Freaking I remember during the Louisville game when we got on the field, they tried to stop us. And they had a whole it was a whole thing on campus about security guys were tackling students, and one student got injured and stuff. So, and they said that next time they're not going to do that. So hopefully they just let us out on there.
It's been 5 years since that, so let's just pretend let's pretend that they forgot about that. Let's pretend that that's no longer a thing. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Now, let's go on to this game. I did talk about after the loss of Tech, mood was down. We've given up. We agreed this was a basketball school. We don't give a damn about football. The baseball team hasn't even been that great over the last couple of years. We're straight up basketball now. But like I said, picked up results against Rice, against Grambling, against Navy. Navy was a scary one in the first half. That, not gonna lie. I remember we were underdogs going into Tulsa, but we beat them by 35. We beat Tulane by 18. We were favored by only 5. We did have a bit of a shakeup against East Carolina, but came out. We're fine. Now we got, as far as I'm concerned, our biggest game of the entire schedule. This is bigger than Tech because that was not a conference game. We are lucky enough to not play Cincinnati yet, because if we would have played Cincinnati in the beginning of the season, I am certain that we would have not won. That goes without saying. But after this Saturday, like you said, we should be smooth sailing going into the AAC. At South Florida, stinks. At Temple, stinks. Memphis, at home, could be a tricky one, but it's a Friday night. I feel a little confident on that one. And then we got to go to at UConn. And truthfully, I ain't even going to waste my time on that. We agreed after the Rice game. I remember this. After we beat Rice, we were not going to lose a game until at least the AAC title game. We called it. And honestly, if we take care of it Saturday, we're going to be right. That's simple as that. In terms of this game, though, we talk about it. I would like to see our running attack a little bit more consistent. I think Ultimate McCaskill is way too good to honestly be limited under 20 carries a game. This is a vulnerable SMU defense. This is an SMU defense that has given up a lot of points, the likes of Louisiana Tech. They gave a lot to TCU still, even though they won that game. This is not exactly an SMU defense that I feel like a lot of people are going to have. You're going to look at SMU's defense and be like, okay, they're going to stop Houston. Well, I don't believe so. Nathaniel Dell is great. Chris Singleton, great. Clayton Tune, if he plays smart, which I firmly believe he has and will, I think he can tear apart that SMU defense. The concern lies, there were times so far where we have given up a couple plays to the outside in terms of the passing game. I would like to see how is the secondary going to lock up against the likes of Rasheed Rice, Reggie Roberson, Danny Gray, Grant Calcaterra, Tanner Mordecai, who's, as far as I'm concerned, has been among the best performing quarterbacks in college football this year. That's the matchup that I'm looking forward to. I'd like to know how can we contain against this receiving core, and is it enough to win against SMU? Like we said, is a blackout game. The environment's going to be hostile. This is probably going to be the most electric atmosphere of the season. This is just kind of where my heart lies right now. I just want to know, is the SMU defense, the UH defense, toughest test of the year? How do they perform against SMU?
Yeah, see, I'm looking at the other side. You're focused on defense, on SMU's defense. I'm focused on Houston's defense. I think that SMU has one of the best offenses in college football right now. Like you said, Tanner Mordecai, he's playing amazing. He's leads the nation in passing touchdowns. I think there's two keys that we need to do this weekend. We need to force him to turn the ball at least once, which he will do. If we can force one turnover and we get one special teams touchdown, either it's a punt, a kick return, a block punt, it doesn't matter, but we're gonna have to score points. In a perfect world, I would hope that our offense is good enough to keep up with SMU's. I'm not sure that they are, but I think if we get a special teams touchdown or a couple of turnovers, we get some short fields, that's when things get interesting. And I was doing my homework, and I didn't know. Did you know this, that Dana and the SMU coach Sonny Dykes, yeah, they were on the same staff at Texas Tech for like 6 years.
Back in like the early 2000s, I think it was.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So it makes things even more interesting. A familiar face. They were both the wide receiver coach and the co-offensive coordinator. So, I mean, I imagine things changed since then, but it just makes things even more spicy, I guess.
It kind of does leave the question, like, how much do they actually know about each other coming this long? We obviously know what Dana did, at West Virginia. He won that Orange Bowl against Clemson back in like 2011, and since then, he put up a really good program over there. It's been a slow first 2 years. I feel like, when we lost to Oklahoma in his first season, 2019, I'm pretty sure it was, that was a bad look. I remember we lost to Tulane the next week. Then we had a game at NRG against Washington State. That was a game that I went to. And I remember after that, that was an 0-3 start to the season. I essentially told myself, I'm not too sure if it was in that order, but I do know we lost those 3 games that early in the season, September. To have that bad of a start, we had Major Applewhite for a few years before that. So it led the question was, is Dana even better than Major Applewhite at that point from what I saw? And last year, I will give the team a little bit of credit because one of my buddies, he was one of the equipment managers for the team. And he essentially told me that everything that you will read on the internet, on social media, was a lie. Saying that it was UH that had the COVID issues and all these other certain things. I will cut Dana slack for last year, even for as putrid as that team was. The fact that we turned it around like this, it honestly leaves a lot to hope for. That's the way I personally view things. So the changes between Sonny and Dana, what they've done throughout this entire time period, it's essentially like seeing maybe your old friend, maybe they're enemies now. I don't know. It's, where this is I-45 we're talking here. No, nothing good ever happens on I-45. Maybe they do know a little bit of each other. Maybe they do. But I think for me personally, what matters most is, like you said, I think UH will need to create a couple turnovers. I think Tanner's going to throw for 2 turnovers in this game. If he just gets pressure in his face, if the safeties can play a little bit low, and if you can get pressure on Tanner, he will make quick decisions, and I think he'll have a corner or a nickel come through his face. I think the UH defense, I think they're going to be fine. Look, SMU is going to get their points, but truthfully, there's nothing you can do to even stop that. Tanner's going to get his touchdowns. Reggie's going to get his yards. Rasheed's going to get his yards, even though his production may have been not as good as we'd like to see it because he hasn't scored in like 2 games, which is a eternity for an SMU receiver. I would like to see this UH team create turnovers. It's not enough just to get the sacks. It's not enough just to get the stops. We're going to need the turnovers. And I think if this is a game where Clayton can watch where he's throwing, I think we're going to win the turnover battle with ease, and I think that's going to win the game for us.
Yeah, I agree. Um, as far as what you mentioned, Dana, and kind of changing the atmosphere, I think that's kind of what um in 2019 it was bad. And a lot of people, I remember when Derek King, he transferred, he had a lot of people, choosing to sit out or leave. And there was a lot of stories about, can he control the locker room? I read a lot of that stuff, and what type of guy is he in the locker room? And what you mentioned about the player DMing you and stuff, that shows that, slowly but surely he's changing the culture back to how it was when Tom Herman was here, where it was us against the world, Houston versus everybody. So I'm happy to get back to that. Um, as far as SMU goes, obviously, Houston and Dallas, it is what it is. They don't like each other.
Never have, never will.
Never have, never will. I'm from Dallas, went to school in Houston. I heard it all the time. So it's going to be hostile in there. It's going to be crazy. I think that early on, Houston is going to have an opportunity to really, take control of the game, whether it be an interception, a loose ball, picking up that last block on a punt return or something like that. That'll really get the crowd engaged, and then the ball starts rolling, and that's when I think that we can really blow this game open. But we have to capitalize, because the mistakes are going to be there. We have to capitalize on it. It's going to happen early. Just got to jump on it, and I think they will.
If you had to pick one UH player and one SMU player to be the main X factor, as in this specific player, obviously the whole team has to play well as a unit, but one specific player from each team that will be the biggest X factor. In order for the team to win, this player is going to have to step up.
For me, I think it's for Houston. I think it's the best player on our team, Marcus Jones. He's going to have plenty of opportunities. He's going to play some offense. He's going to play defense, obviously. He's going to have some kick returns. Special teams is the easiest way to get a crowd going. You make one big special teams play and the whole stadium's rocking, whether he gets an end around or on a reverse or something like that. He's gonna have to step up. He's our most dynamic player. He's gonna have a lot of work to do on defense with all those SMU receivers, but I think I'm gonna be looking at him to really put his name out there, because I'm sure he wants to play in the NFL. This is the biggest game of the year. So big time players make big time plays. It's time for him to show out.
So my UH player, I think it's really easy to look at Marcus Jones, obviously, because he probably is, he is our best player and he can do it everything. Honestly, this is the one game where I truly feel like every player will need to step up. I think the offense is going to score. I think they're going to score on SMU, zero issue. So I'm going to go ahead and just look at a couple of the linemen that I think we need to look at. And I think Demarion Williams, I know he's a corner. I'm going to pick him as my X factor, because I feel like Tanner Mordecai, he's a smart enough player to know where Marcus Jones is going to be on the field. Demarion Jones, I feel like when I saw him against Tulane, I thought he was easily one of the most, when he was out in space, he got to the flat routes so easily. He was able to get to the wide receiver screens so quickly. It got to the point where I thought to myself, Marcus Jones gets all the credit, and deservedly so. He deserves all the praise that he gets in the world. Why isn't there as much love for like Demarion Williams? He can still lock down receiver. He can lock down number 2 receivers. He knows how to close plays. There have been multiple times where I've seen him like 10 yards off the line of scrimmage on a flat, and it's only a 2-yard gain. He is so fast. He's so quick. He's such a great decision maker in the open field also. I'm actually going to go with Demarion Williams. So I think we kind of both agree that secondary is going to be king here. Now, as far as SMU, which specific player on SMU scares you the most going into this game?
For me, it's their defensive end, number 55. What's his name? I think his name is Wiley. I think that for Houston to score, they're gonna need time in the pocket. So Clayton has been shown. We saw in Texas Tech, if you get pressure on him, he'll make some mistakes. So I think stopping him, he's their leader in sacks too. If we're able to stop him, keep Clayton clean. That's a tongue twister. Then I think we're able to score more points, take a lot more pressure off the defense. But getting ahead of the sticks, stopping that whole D line, we can find a way to get 5-6 yards on first down most of the time. Then I think gets a defensive break, takes a lot of pressure off Clayton, and then we get the ball rolling. So I'm gonna go with the DN Wiley.
So yeah, you were right. It was Gary Wiley. He was number 55. So as far as mine goes, I said that Demario Williams is going to need to have a big game. He's going to need to defend the number 2 wide receiver, and that's exactly who I'm going with SMU. Right now, Danny Gray is the leading receiver, so it's going to be interesting to see what Dykes wants to do with the offense. Who is he going to trust more to be the wide receiver guy, the wide receiver 2 guy? He's going to have his choice between either Rashee Rice or Reggie Roberson. I'm going to give the slight edge to Rice. I feel like he's the smaller, he's the shiftier dude. He's the guy that you probably trust more in the slot. We'll see where they're going to move the players around a little bit more. If there's going to be any player on this team that I feel like is going to just make that big play for SMU, I think it's going to be Rice. He's faster. I feel like he could really break through the secondary. We'll see how they decide. We'll see how Belk does defend the backside of the defense. That's going to be my guy. That's going to be Rashee Rice. Here at the transfer portal, we've been talking about him a whole lot. And I feel like he can just do so much damage in so many ways. And honestly, Reggie Roberson, same thing. He might be the wide receiver 2 guy for them. So that's going to be it. All right, let's go ahead. Let's close it out. Score predictions. Let's hear them.
My score predictions, I'm going Houston 38, SMU 34. I think we score a late touchdown and we hold them out on defense at the end.
You're gonna fucking kill me, but that was literally the exact same scoreline I had in mind. I am not bullshitting you. I was thinking 38-34, but since I feel like it's against the law to have same score lines, I'll go ahead and say 37-35. Let's fuck it. Say that's what I'm gonna go with. We'll see how it's gonna be interesting to see how SMU does score those 34 points. We'll see. Can Clayton protect the ball? That's the main thing. Can they defend the slot? That's another thing. Your big thing is keep Clayton in a clean pocket. Once you get Clayton on pressure, I've seen it quite a lot. It's not a whole lot of nice happens. So before we officially close this out, any final thoughts going into the game?
Go Cougs. All I can say. That's just put the world on notice that we're back.
Third Ward defense is back. My hype for Tanner Mordecai, as much as I love the guy, is going to be dead. I'm going to be more than happy to do that. I'm gonna dig up his grave and he's going to bury in it. And you know what? Screw it. Let's go beat Cincy in the AAC title game. All right, y'all. Third Ward defense. Go back. Eat him up. Go Cougs. Go. You all have a good one.